Are you a CFA member and want to get more involved? Here's how. Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Inside the CFA Program. A defining feature of the CFA program is our partnership with volunteers. Practitioners, CFA charterholders, educators, and subject matter experts contribute their time and expertise to help develop content, write exam questions, review materials, participate in grading, and much more. It was my privilege to sit down with some CFA program volunteers at a recent conference, and we discuss how they got involved and what keeps them coming back year after year. So I have three of my colleagues here with me today to talk a bit about how and why they volunteer. So if we could start with you, Harold, maybe introduce yourself and talk a bit about how you came to be involved as a volunteer with us.
Yeah, my name is Harold Berlinicke. I'm from Berlin, Germany. I run a family office, 5th generation, out of Berlin. I am, I guess, what people would call me now a finfluencer. I've been actively sharing sort of nuggets of investing wisdom for 3.5 years. I've got 63,000 followers on LinkedIn and enjoy building a community there very much so. And yeah, I've been volunteering for CFA Institute since 2011 now. So it's been, quite a journey there as well.
Naveen?
Well, I'm Naveen Ritchie. I am an academic. I am with Georgia Southern University, the dean of the business school there. And I've been in academia now for over 20 years. Before that, I was a bond trader for a regional dealer bank out of Pennsylvania. And I got involved with CFA Institute because as a bond person, I was looking to expand my skills, and I debated, should I go to graduate school or was there another choice for me? And so I decided to go for CFA instead. And so ever since then, I've been involved with CFA Institute.
Excellent.
Great. And Midhat?
My name is Midhat Syed. I'm a global equity portfolio manager based in Stavanger, Norway. I've been a CFA charter holder since 2010, and I joined the volunteering community about a decade ago. Started off with Global Review, which is where we look at where the Institute calls in professionals that are active within the industry to come and review exam questions.
Wonderful. Well, I guess I'm curious among the three of you, who's got the best story? I think there had to have been some moment in time when when something clicked about deciding to become a volunteer or to get more engaged with the program. And I'm curious when that moment was for each of you.
Well, I could talk about my moment. When I took my exams, I think it was level 2, I met another woman who was taking her exams at the same time. And she was an academic. She was a professor and told me about life in higher ed. And we then carried on, completed our charters together. And she's the one that introduced me to the society in South Florida. And so I was invited to do a review session on derivatives and thought, now this is great. And so that was my first introduction. And the reason it matters is because it was really a mentoring relationship. So one charter holder to another, she was further along in her career. I was younger in my career. But she introduced me to this wonderful community. And that was, from that point on, I stayed in touch somehow, eventually started grading, and then eventually started writing. So it was really the connection of one charter holder to another that started it for me.
It's wonderful. Actually, it was a very similar situation for me. I'm curious to hear. I think that's probably common. It's part of the power of the network.
Yeah.
Midhat?
I had a more A4 way of getting into volunteering. So soon after I got my charter, I was looking at volunteer opportunities within the CFA Institute, but just basically to see how else I could support and give back to the charter after I'd gotten it. And one of the directors within exam development got in touch with me a few weeks later out of the blue and asked if I wanted to test out this opportunity. And the first meeting that I arrived at, I met a lot of people from different parts of the finance community working with entirely different things. The common denominator was that they were all incredibly bright and very humble, willing to share their thoughts and their knowledge. And I thought, if there's a forum where I can sit and learn from people like this on a day-to-day basis, I mean, it's just fantastic. I'd love to keep on doing this. And then from there, I basically just leaned in and said yes to all of the opportunities that I was offered. And it's just been a fantastic journey of volunteering for CFA Institute.
Well, if I could ask the three of you also to comment on what portions of this you might find most rewarding, or what do you feel like you take from the experience?
Yeah, I think you've already mentioned quite a few points. I would emphasize as well. It's just the kind of people I get to spend time with here. I mean, not just smart people, but very committed people to the cause, and also in many cases very like-minded people.
Yeah.
And I'll echo all that to say that it's a real privilege to be able to work with the people that we get to work with. I'm always amazed that I get to work with so many just brilliant people. And I agree that we're very like-minded, and it's just a lot of fun. It's one of the few places where we get to be sort of brutally honest, work and produce something of very high quality, and be friends at the same time. I mean, it's really a wonderful dynamic, and to the point where we do seek each other out outside of our volunteering. It's a great camaraderie all
Exactly,
through the
that's
years.
the word, camaraderie.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, as speaking to the charter holders that might see this, what advice might you give them about getting involved as a volunteer, and then once they are involved, making the most of it?
I would say as soon as possible. I mean, when I look at the charter with all the changes coming at us through AI and all sorts of other major changes, one of the biggest values I see is actually from the community that we have, and because we've all gone through the ringers to get to the end of it, and that sort of also creates a bond from the beginning. So I would say don't keep it virtual, but try to get involved. At the society level, that would be my first recommendation. But then quickly afterwards, do look up the volunteering opportunities, and don't wait. Don't wait.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I don't have a society near where I live, but that volunteer page on the CFA Institute, where you have all of the different types of opportunities that are available, it gives lots of different ways to contribute out of how much capacity you have, what kind of ideas you want to share, what you want to bring to the table. And once you get involved, I mean, again, just going back to the sort of cliche, lean in, be open, share your experiences, and try and learn as much from it as well. It's incredibly valuable.
One of the ways that we love to see volunteers involved is the local university, wherever you are. Many times they'll have a student team that's entering the CFA Research Challenge. And I know they're always looking for volunteers to serve as judges. And what a great way to give back to the profession.
Absolutely.
There's so many ways. That's a great way. Standard setting, grading, exam writing, curriculum writing and reviewing. So thanks for plugging that webpage, because that's usually the first place I send people.
Great.
Last question. The three of you know better than most how we develop the CFA program, the curriculum, the exam, and so on. So your best advice for candidates, because we have a lot of candidates that dial into
2
this
words.
podcast.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts. That's a good one. I agree with that.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And on top of that, I mean, the program is very rigorous. It's designed so that when candidates come, if they've actually studied the material, if they know the answers to the LOSs, then they should be able to succeed. So plug away at it. And I mean, some people go to prep providers, and that's fine. It helps save on time. But the benefit for me of looking at the CFA program itself, rather than going to a prep provider, was all of the extra case studies that you get. They give context related to real life example, how practice actually works that you wouldn't get otherwise. So I'd say still, I mean, I still go back and look at the curriculum, if I need to read up on something. So I think it's just a fantastic resource.
Thank you for joining me for this inside look at the critical role of our CFA volunteers. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of Inside the CFA Program.